Good evening, and thank you for joining us to the 70th meeting of the Jacksonville Environmental and Appearance Advisory Committee. I would like to call this meeting to order. The members should review the agenda, listing and adopt. Is there adoption of the agenda?
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda.
Thank you. Do we have?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. If we could take a vote, all those in favor, please raise your hand, right hand. All those opposed? Thank you. Our minutes. We have, if everyone viewed the minutes from the meeting of June 6th, if we could get a motion. First motion? You second it? Oh, okay. Thank you. We would like to vote on the minutes. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Thank you very much. That's opposed. Dr. Angela Washington, you're next.
Well, good evening, committee members and to the public. It's so good to see everyone here tonight, and thank you for your presence and your service that you can continue to do for the city of Jacksonville. So before I move any further, I would like for Mrs. Mickey Smith, who is one of our newest shadow member of the committee, to introduce herself to us so that we can learn and become very welcoming of you. I already know who she is, but many of you may not. So the floor is yours, Ms. Smith.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, everyone. I am Evella Mickey Smith. If you say Evella, call me Evella. I might just continue walking, so please feel free to call me Mickey. I'm a local business owner, retired Marine of 20 years. I'm married to a retired Marine, and we have a 27-year-old. He's grown and gone with his family in Georgia, and I have a 2-year-old and a 4-month-old. They are everything, and I'm go-go. So I have been waiting on their phone calls every day. I just wait to see if they're gonna call. So now he's talking, he's calling me go-go. My head is real big now. I'm a part of several organizations here in Jacksonville. My husband and I decided to stay after we retired. He's involved with the city, and I was like, it's my turn to get involved, and I'm tired of seeing him going for meetings and I'm staying at home. I am a part of the Onslow County NAACP, currently running for vice president, third vice president of that organization. Also the chaplain with Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated here in Jacksonville. Also with the Eastern Carolina Human Services Agency as well. I'm on the board of directors there, as well as the board of directors with WARMS. And getting my hand in, I like getting around and trying to get folks to either give money or their time. Don't know how successful that's been, but I'm one of service. I love to serve. And I have been Dr. Angela Washington's shadow at times, you know, and it's just been my desire to be at the table to see what the city's doing and what I can do to help. And that's me.
Awesome. Do you want to talk about your church?
I forget. Majority of my time is spent. My husband and I pastor New Beginnings Christian Center on Belfort Road. We've been pastoring there. Matter of fact, Sunday, we'll be celebrating 18 years. 18 years there at New Beginnings. And we love our church. So from that, you can imagine all the different things we do with that. Service is our priority. You know, we have no one else at the house, and the grandbaby's all the way in Georgia. So we treat Jacksonville as like a baby. In other words, whatever we can do, whatever we can serve, we do our best to do so.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, a hearty welcome, and we are glad for your service and your ability to wanting to serve, so we would definitely put you to work.
What's that? No.
So there is a couple of things that I would like to highlight before we go further. Many of you have seen on television the devastation of the recent hurricane that has not only came through the state of North Carolina, but for other states, and the catastrophic and the detrimental effects that we have seen from that, particularly in Bumpkin County with the city of Asheville. So we're not going to do it now, but I would ask that in your private moment in times, just to lift up the Bumpkin County as well as the other areas that have been hit. But Bumpkin County is special to the city of Jacksonville because the current county manager, Averill Pender, used to be many years ago the assistant finance director of the city of Jacksonville. And when she left here, she became the assistant county manager and the county manager for New Hanover County, and it was just 2 years ago she departed from New Hanover County and she took the position as the county manager of Bumpkin County. So we have seen the devastation that is currently going on in Bumpkin County. So just keep Bumpkin County area as well as the other states and areas in your prayers as we're moving forward. The other thing that I would like to highlight is on Tuesday night, excuse me, I'm getting my days mixed up. On Tuesday night, we had the opportunity to celebrate the 40th annual of National Night Out. It was originally going to be held in August, but a little warm for August, and so we were able to have that great ceremony on Tuesday night, very well attended, and I really think that the Patriots really enjoyed themselves because, one, you didn't have to deal with the heat. We thought the threat of rain was going to come through, but it held at bay. But it was just so nice and just so beautiful to see all the participants just come out and have such a great time. And once again, to parks and the streets and recreation and really all departments of the city of Jacksonville really made National Night Out another 40th year of success. It just thrilled my heart to see the community coming out and supporting our law enforcement, whether we're talking about the two-legged or the four-legged, because one of our four-legged officers, I think his name is Baines or Brains. Breaks. Okay, he's getting ready to retire, but he still enjoyed himself. So it was just a fantastic celebration. 40 years. It's kind of hard to believe that. That it's been 40 years since we've been celebrating National Night Out. So kudos again to the Parks Department as well as to all of the departments within the city of Jacksonville and our staff that you just continue to showcase the city of Jacksonville in such a positive manner. And it could not be the success that it is without the collaboration of all of our partners, City Council, County Commissioners, even Camp Lejeune. Their band came out and had a great time entertaining the audience as well as our legislative bodies that is up in the North Carolina General Assembly. So to the mayor, to our city manager, to our council, thank you to the staff here. Thank you for the great input that you just rely on us to give to you so that when this event comes up, you take our recommendations and you run with it as always. So kudos to staff and just thank you for representing us and making us look so well every year. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, well, next, it's that time of the year for officer elections. So at this time, if anyone has any nominations for chairperson and vice chair, please let us know.
Nominate Beth.
For
President.
For president as well. Chairperson.
Chairperson.
Any other nominations? How about vice chair?
Daniel.
Just like this. All right, that's good.
Any other names or nominations? Okay. Can we vote from the same time?
No, you have to vote.
Okay.
separately.
First, we're going to do the voting for
You
chairperson.
might want to ask if there was someone that wants to nominate to close the
Oh,
nomination.
yes. Is there anyone that would like to close the nominations?
I would like to close the nomination on the said name.
Thank you. Okay.
Second.
Is there a second? Okay. Now, thank you. We would like to vote for chairperson Beth Purcell. Oh. So please.
All those in favor?
All those in favor?
All those opposed?
Oh. Do that.
Since you did not decline at the beginning, you cannot do that.
So
That should be good.
now we go to Danny.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, now we are voting for our vice chair, Mr. Daniel Lewis. All those in favor? Raise your hand. Thank you. I didn't oppose. Is there someone that would like to close the nominations? A motion to close.
Motion to close the
Yes.
nominations.
Thank you.
That is closed.
So now we have Ms. Beth Purcell as our chairperson and Mr. Daniel Lewis as our vice chairperson.
Thank you for your service. Thank you for your faith and confidence.
Oh, absolutely.
I'll try not to ever be absent.
We do have a presentation, so our stormwater update 2024. Thank you. Ms. Pat Donovan Brandenburger.
Well, thank you for having us. We do this every year. I look forward to October because normally that means we're close to being out of the hurricane season, but it seems like we're shifting a little bit. I would like to introduce Wilhelmina Bradway, which is one of our water quality technicians. She is with the city of Jacksonville. She has been with us a year. And she does everything that we do, and one day she may be sitting in this spot instead of me. So she's practicing.
We've all had to do it.
Some big shoes there.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Thank you. So as every year, the city is blessed in having not only an Adopt a Park and an Adopt a Street, but also an Adopt a Stream program, because the city of Jacksonville is one of the 20 CAMA counties, which means we have water everywhere, be it the New River and its tributaries, but we also have lots of wetlands and swamps, which are also known as public waters of the state. So this year in our Adopt a Stream program, the summary is we actually had 16 cleanups, and the 16 cleanups covered 166 miles. Now, these are done quarterly, so even though they clean this 5 miles, this quarter they clean those 5 miles again. We had a total of 74 participants, and there were 67-gallon bags, 55-gallon bags of trash collected, which is a lot. And this is a picture of what our local hero does, who is also on staff with the Stormwater Water Quality Department. Everyone knows him as Wheels in the little red truck that you find everywhere. This is the areas that Wheels will actually kayak or paddle, as well as wade, in order to clean up the city's parks, waterways, and wetlands, and he's been doing it for 12 years now. He is an incredible individual. His numbers match that of all the others. This year alone, he's picked up 1,000 bags of those 55 gallons. Since the beginning, he's picked up 14,000 bags of trash. He alone, himself, has done 166 miles from June of last year till July 1 of this year. And he just keeps going. He's the fella that doesn't quit, and I pray every day that he doesn't quit, because just look at that picture, and he removes that every month. He's removing that type of trash from some sort of stream or tributary within the city of Jacksonville. If he leaves us, I don't know what we would be looking at on a daily basis. It would not be the beautiful river that you see now. So he also, on his own, helps tear down abandoned homeless camps or shelters. He does call the police and have them check first, because we want to make sure our citizens, wherever they are still safe. And I will say, over at the apartments, I plead that citizens not put shopping carts by the river or by the stream, because once they roll down the embankment and into the waterway, it becomes a major strainer. And what it can cause is upstream flooding, because lots of little things pack in against those shopping carts, and then big things pack in on top of that. I mean, we've actually removed as many as 55 shopping carts in one day. So that's my plea for the day. The City of Jacksonville's staff also inspects all of the city's SCMs, which are stormwater control measures, meaning when we develop, and have since 2008, you have to take all of your hard surfaces and put it through some sort of control measure to remove all your pollutants before that water returns back into the waterway. And so the SCMs that the city owns, for instance, Public Services has 3 ponds. Our public safety building has 7 underground sand filters. Fire station number 2 has a pond. Fire station number 4 has some constructed wetlands. They have to be inspected every month to make sure that they are functioning as designed. So when we get the big storm, water has somewhere to go, not only to help with flooding, but to improve water quality. So this past year, staff inspected all of the city's stormwater control measures to a tune of 264 times. They also inspect all of the private development that we permit for construction. They inspected those 210 times this year. They try to hit all privately owned SCMs twice a year to make sure, again, that it's functioning as per design. And I'm going to put this in here because of what just happened to Western North Carolina. I will tell you, my heart hurts for them, because we have lived through many of those, too many to name, me personally. And while the coast is more apt to better deal with that type of storm, unfortunately, our mountains were not. Thus, the devastation that we're seeing. And so this is just a reminder of why stormwater runoff is such a buzzword, and it's increasing in the word, because what we're seeing is more and more storms with more and more water with higher intensity. Water's got to have somewhere to go when it rains, whether it's 2 inches, 5 inches, or 60 inches. And what happens is, with development, in the very first slide in the top left, water, when it rains, normally will infiltrate into the ground. You get a very small amount of runoff. As you increase your development, as you go to the slide to the right, you get a higher amount of runoff. Let's go down to the very bottom slide, where you see almost 100% of impervious surface areas, or what I call hardened structures. And what you see is where 50% used to infiltrate into the ground, now only 15% does. And whereas runoff was only 10% in the top slide, It's now 55% runoff in the bottom slide. That is why when we have these storms, flooding is so imperative. And that's why we have laws through the Clean Water Act, state and federal, that mandates all construction has to have a stormwater control measure to try and help mitigate this. So just to show you, in yellow is the current city limits of Jacksonville. In red, and I know it's hard to see, but in red was the city limits in 1970. That's the development that was here in 1970. All right, let's go to 80. In 10 years, 1980, 1970, 1980, still the same yellow lines showing, the limits, but look how much we grew in 10 years. All right, well, let's fast forward. Everything in red is now the city of Jacksonville, and we have outgrown our old limits and will continue to do so because it's such a great place to live. But in doing so, we still have to look at and mitigate not only flooding, but good water quality for a river that's been restored over the last 20 years. That's just a reminder of why in certain areas you get more flooding than others. That's all that was. Some of the other things that staff are involved in to mitigate trash making its way into the river, not only adopted a stream program, not only God bless Wheels, but we have a trash trout that we got through a grant that is in Scales Creek before it goes under Highway 24. And this trash trout catches a lot of trash from Scales Creek, which goes all the way up to the city of Jacksonville industrial area, White Street, that area. That was all in place before stormwater rules and regulations came into place. So there are not any stormwater control measures to mitigate flooding or water quality. So we're trying to remove trash before Scales Creek runs into Northeast Creek, runs by our park, and then enters the New River. And some of the numbers is last year we cleaned out the trash trout 27 times. So if not weekly, every other week. We collected 200 pieces of plastic. We collected 1,338 pieces of styrofoam, which sadly is 83% of what we pulled out of there, pieces of styrofoam. And total trash, 1,610 bags. So we're trying to do our part. So on a happy note, the city of Jacksonville has been very blessed this year in receiving a bunch of grants. The council will bless the acceptance of 2 of these next week on Tuesday. 15 million, can I say that again? 15 million came from NOAA, and we are going to restore 3 streams, Sandy Run Branch, Scales Creek, and Cheney Creek, and we're going to restore and upgrade 2 of our city parks, Phillips Park and Northeast Creek Park. I'm so excited about Northeast Creek Park. We also got a grant for $2 million. I know it's only $2 million, $273,000 and some change for a stormwater grant to build a new equipment wash bay at our public services compound. So we're going to remove the marl rock, put up a stainless steel building, and you'll be able to wash equipment and our big sanitation trucks and our street equipment in recycled water from the top, cleaned. But the important part is it will be heated water up to 400 degrees to remove grease, bacteria, viruses, smells. So now our sanitation trucks, when they're going down the road, be smelling fresh, sparkling clean. Street sweepers don't have to do anything to the road afterwards. And then a little bit of change from another stormwater grant is we also are going to do a nutrient management plan for the New River, because funds are becoming harder to come by, and we have to have this management plan in order to apply for federal grants with the EPA. If you don't have this plan in place, you can't even apply. So,
And that's ARPA funding, the American Rescue
ma'am.
Plan. And for those of you who remember with ARPA, this is one of the releases of the federal money that actually did not come from the federal government to the state, to the county commissioners, and then to the municipality. This money directly came from the federal government to the municipalities, and the city of Jacksonville was awarded $9 million. Thank you very much.
I said we were very blessed.
And part of that was with the National League of Cities that went before Congress and testified, because the National League of Cities is made up of council members and mayors representing over 207 towns and villages in the United States. And so the National League of Cities was able to, I would say, aggressively testify before Congress so that monies could come back to our town. And the city of Jacksonville has been part of the National League of Cities for over 30 years, and yours truly, Board of Directors.
Awesome. Okay. Get one of these.
Pat, are you the primary grant writer for these
Yes, ma'am.
projects?
Congratulations.
So
You
I just-
also have to do the reporting and the managing and the,
Yes, ma'am.
yeah, it's a lot. I've done a few.
Yes, ma'am.
So when we look at this and you see the dollars amount, the dollar amount, it's wow. But the dollar amounts are great, but this is a multi-generational difference maker right here. This money and what's going to be done out here is going to be something that will change this community, not just for a couple of days or for a couple of years. This sets us it puts us in a great position moving forward to have all these things Pat is talking about, and to make sure those behind us, meaning our grandchildren maybe, or whoever it is, have those things. And hopefully, this is just step number one in what we can do moving forward.
Correct.
And kudos to you, Mrs. Donovan Potts, because I know, as you said, with the 15 million and then it starts to taper off, you're talking about just over 17.5. $17,500,000, that's nothing to sneeze about. So congratulations to you and your staff for being able to broker those fundings for the city of Jacksonville. Thank you.
Thank you.
The writing is basically the hard part, but it's also the compliance, because once you get the money, you have to report quarterly and annually. These reports have to be on time, they have to be accurate, you have to deal with auditors coming to check your work. So it is so much management work. So kudos to you, because it's doing wonderful things.
Yeah.
Trust me, I've done a few, but not quite as big as this. So when they called me, I will tell you, I did a happy dance that hopefully no one will ever see.
Pat, I have a question. I'm sorry.
Absolutely,
Do
no.
they already know what they're going to do at the parks?
We do. In order to apply for these grants, we walk these watersheds many, many, many times. And this is actually the third time that I've applied for funding for Northeast Creek Park. Northeast Creek Park was just devastated by Florence. The boardwalk through the wetlands themselves were devastated. And I was determined before I retired to fix Northeast Creek Park. So I'm glad the Lord was like, okay. Third time's the charm.
So really what she's saying, to put in layman's terms for anybody watching, is if you've ever been to Northeast Creek and you tried to get on those boardwalks and you say, oh my God, this is not a good place, this is not safe, and this is going to remedy that. This is going to create a new boardwalk out there that hopefully in today's world will be constructed that if we do have significant storms, we'll be able to handle those storms a little bit better, and we'll have those boardwalks there for a lot longer time.
Correct, and we no longer will be impacting the wetlands at either Phillips Park or Northeast Creek Park. We are going out into the streams themselves, like at Sturgeon City, and running parallel to shore, and we'll be using slatted concrete instead of wood, and we are actually going to be weighing it down with a living shoreline and reefs to help improve water quality for decades to come. But if you tune in next Tuesday to the council workshop, we'll be unveiling all of the maps of what that will look like. So I have to be a little careful. Because council hasn't really accepted it yet, but hopefully they're going to next Tuesday. But just that we were awarded, I will say that we were one of two that got that type of money from NOAA.
That's great.
That's one.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Again, happy dance, thank the Lord, there was not a camera.
So Pat, what will they do to the Cheney Creek and Scales Creek? Will it just be like dredging type of situation?
No. You can't even get permits to dredge anymore because, and here's the reason why, all dredging has to go through the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. And the reason why they don't give out permits anymore is because in history, your sediments in a watershed carry all your past mistakes, all your past pollutants. What we don't want to dig up is mercury, DDT, and all the other things that killed our eagles and other precarious wildlife back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s when we didn't know better. So dredging is just, it's more harm and more dangerous than good. So what we will do with the stream restorations is restore the floodplain on both sides to give an area for water to go, to reduce downstream flooding. You can't, on hurricanes, you can't ever prepare depending on the amount of rain. But for nuisance flooding on regular rainstorms, it's increasing your floodplain, it's restoring your wetlands because the wetlands actually are like sponges. They absorb more water and they hold it back for longer. So it's replanting and restoring your wetlands. But the streams themselves, instead of being straightened, which is what the Corps used to do, will now, when we restore the floodplain, will meander, which is what water wants to do, because in the meandering, you knock off that energy and it doesn't blow out further downstream. So it's replanting very important trees like bald cypress and red cedar and other trees that are slow growing, live oaks, but they are tolerant of hurricanes. They don't get real tall. Why? Because they don't want to be knocked over. And they grow slow. Why? Because they absorb a lot of water with their energy. Did that answer your question?
Yes, it did. Thank you so much.
Sorry, I could go a little too long. My bad.
I do have a question.
Yes, sir.
What's the size of your workforce that cleans up and...
So the workforce, part of it's right here. There are 4 of us. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us within the division. But for this type of grant, we will hire contractors to do the work. The city will just manage and inspect the grant itself and make sure that what's going in and what's being done is done correctly. Was that what you were asking?
Yes,
Okay.
that'll answer it. Because I was looking at that 15 million in comparison to the other cities. That's pretty good deal, huh?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Very much. And then on the flip side of that is my pride and joy is the Oyster Highway project, which started with nothing but private donation money and then lots and lots of grants. That 15,000 from NOAA was actually 15 million from NOAA was actually 16 million from NOAA because $1 million of it goes to the Oyster Highway project. Believe it or not, the Oyster Highway project now will have a phase 4. When we started this, I didn't know there was going to be this many phases, or I would have named it something differently. So just to recap is up at the green star at the top is Sturgeon City and Wilson Bay, which is where cleanup of the river started. Phase 1 of the Oyster Highway project are your blue stars. Phase 2 of your Oyster Highway project are the yellow stars. And if you count, you can see an equal number of stars on the east side of the river as the west side of the river, because what we were trying to do was connect Stones Bay up to Jacksonville and Wilson Bay, creating a highway on both sides for baby oysters to be able to make it from one reef to the next, no matter where the tide, whether it was incoming or outgoing. And because the new river is slow moving, we had to put multiple reefs in order for them to make it, because a baby oyster only has 2 weeks to attach. That's it. And if you don't attach, he's food. He's filter food for somebody else. So this is your Oyster Highway. Phase 1 and Phase 2 were all half acres in size. This is what they looked like. Half of the reefs had 90 what we call oyster catcher reefs, and the other half had 90 oyster castle reefs, which is the castles is nothing but a big concrete block that looks like a Lego. And you just interconnect the concrete Legos together. We put 6 on the bottom, lock 2 on the top. They're 40 pounds a piece, so, that's why I still have biceps. So Phase 1 and Phase 2 were half acre. Phase 3, we increased the size of the reefs from a half acre to an acre, and we are just finishing up with Phase 3 now. We've got a few more oysters to add to the middle portion. And now don't go crazy-eyed, but this is Phase 4. Well, don't you love this slide?
What do you see there?
I love this slide. It's so colorful.
You sure that had a color blindness test?
Yes, exactly.
Like the blue, is that supposed to be an 8 or a 5 or a 3?
So what we're going to do is, I'm going to go back, is within that 1 acre, do you see the perimeter, the rows down the middle and horizontally and vertically? What we're doing is we're going to completely load every site with as many oyster castle reefs as we possibly can. Thus, why you have all those purple dots in between the little blue dots is we're just gonna cram as many in there as possible, and then over the next 3 years, we'll add over 3 more million oysters to all 12.
And you do this by hand with a crane on the side of the boat, or?
So adding the oysters, we do by hand on the side of the boat, but the oyster castles will get there by barge and a crane, and they'll drop the numbers off, and there will be staff to help us build them, because otherwise I'm out there 24/7 for the next 4 years. Y'all will not see me at all. But that will saturate the new river with enough oyster spat and calcium bicarbonate that no matter what happens 5, 6, 10, 20 years from now, the New River will continue to replenish and clean the river. And that's our goal, is I want to leave it cleaner than I found it, and that happened like 15 years ago. But just to be sure.
Are you still seeing an increase in the sturgeon fish? Do you know how populated it is from one year to the next?
I'd have to ask the base, which is something I haven't. Now, UNC Chapel Hill monitors our reefs for us. It's so that the foxes and guarding the hen house. So they're monitoring the recruitment, settlement, growth, and mortality of all the bivalves, but they're also monitoring the amount of invertebrates and fish that are moving on to the reefs, which leads me to this. If you ask any of your local fishermen, they will tell you that the best kept secret are the Oyster Highway reefs. That's where they fish. This is actually Meredith Morgan's dad fishing on reef number 12, and the sea trout was so big he had to release it.
Wow.
And this was just a couple months ago. So it was this year. But they're huge. And when we go to add more oysters to the reefs, we see fish swimming around all over the place. It's just we've provided habitat where there was no habitat before because of our wastewater treatment facilities, us, the base, the air station. Once we turned that around and did a better job by going to land application, it was just a matter of putting structures back. And if you build it, they came. And there are fish all over the place. And then the last thing that we do, which is probably even more important than the Oyster Highway, is to minimize the amount of illicit discharges down a storm drain, into a catch basin, into a ditch, because all of those pollutants, all those storm drains go directly to the New River. So illicit discharges are our number one priority. Our staff, when I call, drops everything and immediately responds. And our fire department is just excellent. They understand all about trying to block that flow from getting to a storm drain. So containment, that's their number, other than saving lives, that's their first priority. Containing any runoff or flow to the storm drains. They've done such an excellent job with us over the last 10 years. And that's what you see here, is they're putting out a boom, they're putting out the diapers, they're putting out absorbent to keep whatever this was, and I can't even remember what it was, from going down the storm drain. Because once it goes down a storm drain, you now have to pay for an environmental cleanup. And those get expensive. Plus, you have to report it to the state, and there's a lot of paperwork. And so if we can keep it from going down the storm drain, and thank you, fire department. City of Jacksonville's best asset are our people, our employees. So that is our year in water quality and storm quality. Yes, Kevin.
How far out do the other rivers go into New River? I can remember my father used to take the boat from Rosetown Road, and he was able to take that boat and go all the way into New River. So how many rivers dump into the New River?
You mean how many tributaries?
Yes.
So we have a lot of tributaries. So the New River starts with spring water that bubbles up out of the earth up in the Ridgelands area. Right. Small tributaries come together to form the river as it gets bigger. So you've got Northeast Creek, which is a major tributary. You've got Southwest Creek, which is a major tributary. And then you've got Sandy Run Branch. You've got Burnt House Creek. You've got Scales Creek. I mean, there are a number of smaller watersheds that drain into these tributaries and then into the river. But the New River is unique in that it starts and ends in one county, our county, Onslow County. We own the New River. We are responsible for the New River. We cleaned up the New River. We have something to be proud of. Very much so. That's why everybody's moving here. I sort of thought, well, gosh, what did I do? I made it too clean.
That's right.
Great presentation.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions? And Miss Beth, she lives right there. She's our eyes and ears on the river every day.
Crazy stuff going on sometimes, but these guys are always right on it, because if you see something, you got to say something, and they take it very seriously. And the residents on the river do appreciate that.
We appreciate the residents. And if you are out and about and you see something and you're like, what is that? That doesn't look right. Please, please, please call City Hall. They'll know how to get up with us. please, please, please. And if they see you watching them and they're like, uh-oh, we were caught, and you see them trying to escape, take a picture. Everybody's got their cell phones.
Or a video.
Take a picture.
Just got a few videos.
Especially if there's identification on the side, like a landscape, I mean, not anything against landscapers, but some sort of company's name or, logo on the side, take a picture. We'll find them.
Because I want to say, I think it was after Hurricane Florence that the city council passed a resolution to help clean up the derelict boats that used to be around the marina that people just abandoned.
Yes.
To help with the cleanup of the river.
That's actually our water quality coordinator, Aaron, sort of spearheaded that program, the ADV program. We started with 30 vessels where we eliminated or restored or moved all 30 of them. We do have one currently that we are trying to work with the boat owner, to either remove, or we're going to remove it ourselves. So we had 30, fixed all those, now we have one, and we're working on fixing that one.
It's kind of cleaning up slum and blight on the water.
Yes.
It made a significant difference because a lot of people either gave the boat to someone or sold it to someone, and they
Yes.
didn't own it any longer.
Yes.
So it was just a matter of who does this vessel belong to? And it made a significant difference, especially, visually from downtown.
Thank you so much for.
No worries. Thank you for having us.
Anybody?
If we can give Pat a minute, I think she's gonna,
We've had a long week.
yeah, had a long day.
If that's okay.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely.
Thank you kindly.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Come back and see us when we leave. Yes, ma'am.
If y'all need anything, we're here for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Congratulations again.
Thank you.
Awesome presentation.
Get my sleep.
So it's fun to hear Pat talk, even if we wait a year to hear again, because she's always excited. And I've worked with Pat for as long as she's been here, and it doesn't matter. There's always something new that I get from what she says, and I'm like, I didn't know that. So it's nice to see someone who's still passionate about what they're
Yeah, you
doing.
can tell she loves what she
Yeah,
does.
she does. She does.
Absolutely. Does anyone have anything to add?
So we have a couple things we'd like to talk about. And before I talk, I'm going to let Jason talk to you a little bit about the Bradford Pears Bounty Program in North Carolina. This is a little bit of a sensitive subject for some people, and we wanted to get out in front of this a little and make our residents aware of this. This isn't as much commercially driven. It isn't at all commercially driven, but Jason can speak a little bit about this and what's going on with it if you're not aware.
So we're having an event, and I say we, it's actually, I'm part of the North Carolina Urban Forest Council. I'm one of the board members there. We're actually having an event on October 12th at the farmer's market over by where the extension office was, to give out trees as long as we the residents follow a certain criteria. They have to take a picture of their Bradford pear, and they have to submit it. Once they have it cut down, they have to take another picture of it, and you submit it by just only a picture with the application program. And so the Bradford Pear Bounty Program is a partnership between North Carolina Wildlife Federation, NC State Extension, and the North Carolina Urban Forest Council and the North Carolina Forest Service to help control the spread of invasive Bradford pears by removing them from the communities and replacing them with native alternatives. Right now, when I talked to our executive director, we have 198 trees that we can replace trees with, we can replace. Residents can replace up to 5 trees. And this is strictly for residents, not for municipalities. It's not for government. It is strictly for residents. And here's the biggest reason in a forest setting where Bradford pears are, they were great trees 25, 30 years ago. They were the tree. They were the crepe myrtle of 5 years ago where everybody wanted them, everybody planted them. And what we have found out over the years is they take over forest in a very quick period of time. And so we're trying to get ahead of the program on the resident side so we can stop the invasive trees taking over forest and taking away from the native trees that need to be in the forest for wildlife and et cetera. Okay, and so I wanted to bring it up because one, it is pretty cool that we have it here in Onslow County and here in Jacksonville because this has been spread for the last 2 or 3 years, this program has. It was in Wilmington last year. We were fortunate enough now to get it in Jacksonville, and it's so close by. I hope some people will take advantage of it if they have some Bradford pears, and I'll be there. I ask any of y'all if y'all want to join us. It's from 8 to 11 that Saturday morning. Please come out, and if there are trees left over, then they have asked that we make sure that they go to a good organization or to the city or anything like that. So we're going to get some advantages of it as well, okay? And so I just want to make sure y'all know about it.
Any questions?
Any questions?
Awesome.
Jason, have you considered like doing something on social so people will hear about it? Because it's, the people who have these trees are probably older folks,
Right.
residents, and, they're not gonna.
Yes, we've talked to Lisa.
We've talked to Lisa about pushing it out.
Yeah, hopefully we can get it out. And honestly, I did not find about it until last week. So we are, it was perfect time.
A short video is just saying what you just said would be very, very helpful and effective.
Or if they can put it in those little handouts that we get with our water bill.
That would be
Because a
good.
lot of them, older people aren't social media people. So.
So a couple other things. One, as important as anything I'll say tonight, I'd like to take a moment to thank Grace and Linda for your service as our chair and vice chair for the last couple of years. We appreciate your leadership and everything you've done, and thank you very much. Not to diminish, we can't wait to have Beth and Daniel. Thank you. We're very excited. We're as excited for you as we are thankful for Beth. Just to give you a couple of things that you might see us doing around our community over the next couple of weeks or even months. I know that, we talk about the Beirut Memorial and the gardens, and tomorrow we'll have a meeting over there to talk with the base about maybe doing some, we generally help clean up that area before any major events, as well as we do go over there at other times of the year. So we are going over there tomorrow to make sure that some of the heavy lifting things that need to get done before the actual event, we're going to identify them with the committee and some people from the base, and identify those things and lay that plan out for them. I just wanted you to be aware of that. I know Jason recently, as today, has replaced some of the trees, the Chinese pistache that are out at what we call the Grove, which is just past the DMV, depending if you're on the bypass or on 17. I think, what was it, 6 trees maybe?
We did 6 today. We're doing 14 tomorrow.
Yeah. So that's not too bad when you look at the amount of trees that are out there. Each year we do have to replace a couple of trees, and when Jason first came to us and we talked about things, and what I learned is each year you're going to lose probably somewhere around 10% of your inventory. That's pretty much a standard, I believe, right?
Yes.
And that's pretty much held true. So you may see us out there. If you haven't noticed, if you have maybe grandchildren that are active and come to the JASA soccer fields, which is Woodlands Park. We've done some upgrades over there with some fencing, some vinyl fencing. If you're wondering what that looks like, it looks like the vinyl fencing you see at Jack Amiette that we put around the front side that South Drive and Eastwood run into each other. And we will continue that process, doing that at Jacksonville Commons. Right now out there, there's, in most areas, there's a wooden split rail out there, and at one time that was a great look. We think that that white fence, that vinyl fence is a little bit softer, a little bit more inviting look, and we're moving towards that as time goes by. You'll see that go up over the next couple of months, and just be aware of that. Last but not least, we have the Christmas parade that is on November 23rd. Just be aware of that. Obviously, the Parks Department will be a part of that, as we've been mostly in the past. We'll be doing that this year. And don't forget, we will, I'm not sure of the date, and I apologize, but the first Saturday in December, which I think is like the 7th, which means we'll meet right before that. If you think about it, and Chelsea will send an email, even though we'll actually meet the the Thursday before. Winterfest is coming up. And Winterfest is a big event for the city. You know, Dr. Washington was very kind to talk about National Night Out, and it truly is a team effort. You know, the police department is definitely in front of that effort. Make no mistake, law enforcement, that's their night. However, it does take all of us working together to make a night like that be as successful as it is. And Winterfest is no different, you know, so we would love for you to attend that day if you have time. That is also the night that the tree lighting takes place, so we would love for you to be there for that also. We don't put a time down for that because it's when it gets dark. I don't really know what time that is, but usually it's around 5:30-ish, sometimes maybe a little later. And if you're interested in that, I believe the flotilla is right behind that. And we usually have bleachers, or they have put some bleachers down there by the waterfront, and you can just kind of just move from one event to the other. If those sorts of things are important to you, we'd love to have you. And last but not least, we'd love for you to come out and visit us. And we'll talk about this again in December. We have a Santa event every year. And Dr. Washington, I'm going to challenge you right now to come out, because if you'll recall, this is the event that Mike Montfort makes hot chocolate. So, and he's the best hot chocolate maker. We have Santa that evening, and we have Mrs. Claus, and it is not a heavily advertised event, and we don't need it to be, because we don't close any roads down or anything like that. We do a burst of publicity the weekend before, but it's a great event for parents to bring their kids to. They can get a picture with Santa. We have hot chocolate, with candy canes, and if you're not familiar, and I think everybody here is, but those watching on TV may not be familiar with it, Riverwalk Park is definitely a statement, and we do set up some walking paths throughout the decorations for people to walk through, and they really do take advantage of that event. It's an awesome event. It doesn't cost anything. It's our way to say thank you, and you know, we'd love for you to attend that night. So just getting ahead of that, making you aware, okay?
And I believe, Mr. LaCroix, we talked about this last year, that you and Jason, as well as some other members of the sanitation department, helped to create some of those presents and the big, huge light bulbs that seemed like y'all volunteered, that y'all was going to help because I was not going to be in town or something of that nature.
So we do make the package. We do make our packages. Some we buy, some we make, and we'd love to have volunteers at time, but you'll be surprised. We're actually doing those sorts of things a lot of times when it rains in the summer.
Right.
And we're doing Christmas work on Tuesday because it's raining, and, we always call it Christmas in July because Jason's got all the Christmas stuff out, or Scott, and we're literally, if you're familiar with Wooten Park, the old rescue squad building, we have one of those buildings back there, and that's kind of our Christmas building. And so we have a covered area, we can go over there, and we actually do some of those things, so when Christmas does come around, we're ready, instead of trying to invent things at that time. Now, make no mistake, we're always inventing things. Last year, for some of you that maybe not were aware, we took a step last year and added some decorations out on the interchange. We call this area the interchange, which is the area on 17 right before Western Boulevard as you're coming. And we hope to take another step in that area this year, not to
If it gets here.
give that away, but yeah, if it gets here, we'd like to take another step there. We actually, and it is nice that our community recognizes those things, because we do get we get cards from the community, thank you for doing this, and it's really nice. It's easy for somebody to tell us what we don't do right. So we do get a little excited when we get something from somebody and they tell us, wow, thanks for doing this. And we take a moment and we share with the staff, and people do notice, and we know they do. So just wanted to make you aware of some of those things in front of us, and if you want to be a part of some of those things, you're more than welcome. We'd love to have you.
And it really usher in the Christmas spirit.
Yes.
Because if you don't see Christmas around you,
Well, it's funny you say that, and I will tell you, we're less than 30 days, well, we're right about, 30 days away?
It's less than 30 days.
We're 30 days away from starting decorations, okay? The pole decorations, as an example, now we do, and we haven't talked about this a whole lot, and I will make you aware, we're a little nervous, although Jason did find out, I think it was yesterday, when we buy our Christmas tree, we buy it from the mountains in North Carolina. That could be a challenge this year.
Yes, this year.
We actually ordered it not too long ago, but I think what we found out is potentially that the farm that we deal with maybe wasn't as, didn't see the damage maybe that some others did, so maybe we'll be lucky. And look, if the worst thing we have is have to have a different type of tree, listen, people are
Plenty
suffering.
of pine trees.
People are suffering.
Farmers get a Bradford tree, put a couple of together. Nobody will never know the difference. Hang up some
Put some
decorations.
lights on it.
But
National
obviously, you
Lampoon.
will start seeing us out soon doing Christmas decorations. It is literally right around the corner.
And I see it.
Wow.
Thank you so
Yes.
much.
Well, thank you. Our next meeting, regular meeting, will be December 5th. Last one of the year, because meetings after that will be February 6th, 2025, and then April 3rd. So,
I'm still at 1999.
Decorating contests again for the house.
Yeah, we had talked about, that's a good point. We had talked about this in the past. Media did ask if we wanted to be in, thank you for bringing that up, if we wanted to be involved in that. And it doesn't matter to me. Obviously, that will be your responsibility. You'll be doing those sorts of things. We can get with media after the meeting and decide on how we're going to do that moving forward, Beth. And, generally, I think what they've been doing in the last couple of years is we weren't judging as much as the likes on Facebook were deciding that, how many likes you get. So we can talk about that a little bit later and
It could just be a
decide.
matter of just, putting people together on in a van and driving around.
We haven't done that since COVID, and we used to do that, to get in the van, Krispy Kreme donuts, hot chocolate. We had a van, and we would just go around judging.
We would have put that one in the bus.
In the bus, yes, in the bus.
Well, I'm sure media is listening to us right now. So yes, we're in.
Had it all, and it was just good just to see. Oh, my
And it's
goodness.
nice to see it in person because as a person who does decorate their yard, it's painstaking and you want it to look nice, but when you see it in person, it's a lot different than seeing it on television or seeing
Different
it on.
impact.
Yes, it is. Definitely a different impact.
Okay. Well, this meeting is 2 days after my birthday, so.
I will try to remember that.
Yes.
My sister had her birthday on the 6th.
Well, if no one has anything else, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
Second? Thank you. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.